Hi, here is an example on how you can compile your RoHS technical file by gathering manufacturer's declarations of conformity. This is a 4-step process. Let's get started. First of all, you receive a BOM or a bill of material for a specific product. So let's open it. That will be here in the first file. You see here it says my BOM. Let's see how many parts we have there. It's an example, it will be very simple. BOMs can be much bigger than this one. You see here 4 parts. So what you need to do is to compile these parts into folder number 3, which is the supplier and material confidence assessment. So if you open it, you will see the first 3 columns are the columns that you need information. You need to fill in the information, the manufacturer's part number, manufacturer's or supplier's name, your part number, internal part number. So let's do that. Okay, so it's done now. We can move on to step 2 and don't forget to save. Now we can do our first RoHS research. How do we do it? It's very simple. Let's take the first part number 0001, and we're going on this supplier's website. So let's do a Google search with this company, QI. This is just an example. And then you will search maybe the part number. So let's do manufacturer's part number and their company's name. It's appearing. You see here, this is the company, QI device. So it's always better to have the actual company than a distributor. So let's go on the manufacturer's website and search, so you can look at the company's information. If you have any environmental compliance details, could be in About Us, could be elsewhere. You can look at the very bottom of the website. You may have, like you see here, Quality Center. You may find good information. You see material compliance, products life cycle. That could help. If you look in more details here, you see there is an email address, always interesting to have, and a statement. Now on this example, if you enter the part number, you have a specific statement for this part. So let's take the most specific one. You see here it says RoHS and REACH. REACH is another regulation, but you have a whole statement for your part number. So you need to make sure we're talking about the right part number. Yes, it is. It could be the part number or a series. It's fine as well. You need also to verify if we are talking about EU RoHS and not another RoHS regulation. So here it's clear, it's EU RoHS. It refers to the right directive. With the amendment 2015-863 is an interesting one because it refers to the phthalates that were added to the list. You see these phthalates here. So you do have 10 substances, and that's another piece of information that you must find in the certificate of compliance, making sure that there are 10 substances. It could be explicit like that or implicit by mentioning the right directive and the amendment. Last piece of information is the exemption. So you see there is no exemption here. It's very clear. It could be explicit like that or implicit, but it has to be clear enough that you understand whether or not there is an exemption. This document is perfect. So you need to fill in folder number 3. Here you know, yes, it is RoHS compliant. Column F, you will fill in compliance with EU RoHS 10, yes. And no, there is no declared exemptions. So here you would enter no, otherwise that would be the exemption number. And you will need to verify if the exemption is still valid. Don't forget to save it. And then you also need to save this document, print it, and you would save it, create the supplier's name, create the folder inside of folder 2, supporting documentation, and then you give a name, it could be the part number or any. The name shouldn't be long, no longer than 1 line. It could be really the name you prefer. So you need to keep this evidence as a proof demonstration that the part is indeed RoHS compliant. So you finished the research for your first part. Let's try the same exercise for the second part number. Do we have anything more accurate than just, this logo? We don't know what it is about. Let's go under diodes.com. You can use different keywords. For example, RoHS is a good keyword. Let's try that. Maybe we'll find a statement. The part number is another very good keyword. And the RoHS, oh, maybe we found something here. Let's try that one. Oh, there is a whole list. So if you zoom in a little bit, you can read and recognize the directive RoHS 2 2011/65/EU, the amendment 2015-863 for the phthalates, so that's useful. You also even have the list of restricted substances. Now you need to remember the 4 pieces of information you need to find out: the part numbers or the series number. Number 2, whether it's EU RoHS. We just found that yes, they cover EU RoHS. Do they cover the 10 RoHS substances? It looks like they do here. And last question is, well, what about the exemptions? Is my part compliant under an exemption, or is it compliant without any exemption? Let's search here, do a Control F. Oh yeah, look, it's here. Yeah, the part contains lead. There is a EU RoHS exemption. So the part may be compliant under exemption 7A. Let's save this document. Now we need to verify if exemption 7A is still valid, because RoHS exemptions have expiring dates. They can have expired. It's not obvious, we don't necessarily know. On Enviropass.com, under Solutions, Substances Control RoHS, Europe RoHS, at the very top of this page, you would see the list of exemptions. And let's search exemption 7A. 7A, where is it? It's here, right here. So you can list it, declare here, yes, the part is RoHS compliant, and there is a valid exemption, which is 7A, so you will write 7A. Let's take the most simple way of declaring the exemptions, everything in capital letter. Let's now take the example of the third part 0003, a QT Brightech part. So let's do exactly the same exercise. Here it only says RoHS compliant on the datasheet. Usually datasheets are not comprehensive enough. And you see this logo, RoHS logo, it doesn't say much. Let's go on the company website. If you spend more than 5 minutes searching on the website, it's probably not there. Another thing you could do is go on some distributors' websites. If they give you a link directly to the declaration of conformity from the manufacturer, that would be good. So let's search maybe on DigiKey. Here is a link to a declaration of conformity. Let's see if it's good enough. Do we recognize the part number? They said all lead products. So your product is a lead. So yes, it's covered. Other question is, what about the exemptions? They don't specifically say it's without exemption, the part is compliant without exemption, but they say here ND for not detected. So there is no exemption for the 6 substances. So really here the issue is that there is only 6 RoHS substances, not 10. But we can still archive it. It's better than nothing. So I would save it in folder number 2. Document it. So in your file number 3, the Excel spreadsheet, here you will write something in comments. And you would send an email or online request to this manufacturer. Use our Enviropass product compliance form. It's totally free. We keep it up to date. You click on download. Let's look at the fourth part, top plate. There is a part number here. And this one is a custom part. It's often a mechanical part. And on the drawing, you may have the specifications of the materials and the finishes. So it's very interesting for us to have that, because if we do have the specifications, the material breakdown, we will be able to verify compliance. This must cover every material, every homogeneous material. So including the material itself, the finish, everything that is part of the product. Here is the drawing sheet or the technical drawing that we receive for this part. You see here, top plate. So the same rules apply. You need to make sure we're talking about the same part. You see here, there is the part number. If we look at these specifications, you see here, there is a material reference, C84500, and there is no finish. So no finish, we don't have to worry about finishes. And the material, we need to verify what is the chemical composition of this material. C84500. So let's look at it. You see there are some literature, some information that you would find online. Here's the chemical composition. You see it shows 7% lead. It's a copper alloy. This is above the general threshold of 0.1%. Now, it may be under an exemption. You will find there is one exemption for copper alloys. This is the exemption 6C here. However, 4% lead is accepted. Here you have 7% lead. Let's search C84500. Well, you see it's here. It's listed in this blog in table 4, examples of copper alloys and their compliance. What do they say? They say concentration is above 4% for lead, and it's tagged as a non-compliant alloy. You need to report that as well under your file number 3. And you write no, it's not RoHS compliant, and no, there is no exemption for it. So you write no and no. How do you document it? You would save that technical document. Step 3. This step applies once you have achieved steps 1 and 2. For the parts without sufficient online information like part 3, you must send a request to the supplier. Ideally, you would send directly the request to the actual manufacturer. And if there is no email address available, then you would send an online request. If there is none, even an online form, you may want to call the supplier or the manufacturer and get the right email information to submit your request. You will write it in comments, like email sent here, and then you would send all of your emails to the suppliers with missing information for their parts. Here is an example of an email you can submit to manufacturers that don't show enough RoHS information on their website, like the example we had. And you would say,
"Dear supplier, Enviropass is looking for the following information. Can you please fill out the..."
And you give the right tabs from the EPEC form, so the supplier's information and RoHS tabs. You give the link to make it clear for the supplier, and you give all of their part numbers that don't have sufficient RoHS information. And then step number 4 is a weekly follow-up by emails. You can even call suppliers just to be sure that they've received your request and they are working on it, or be sure you have the right email information and you follow up with them. You will file any relevant document or communication. I hope you found this tutorial useful. Subscribe to the Enviropass YouTube channel to get more tips on product environmental compliance.